that Jesus had and that he demonstrated. I want to go through them carefully with you, but in the process of it, I want to tell you a couple of things that you may or may not have even thought about. I said when he says, I will make you fishers of men if you follow me, he's saying basically, I'm going to teach you how to be a leader. He's saying that to his disciples, but he's also saying it to you and to me. One of the best statements I've ever heard is when a leader goes into the room, he changes the temperature of the room. Think about that for a second. If a leader goes into the room, he changes the temperature of that room. You have the same obligation and the same opportunity as a Christian. You can be a fisher of men and change the temperature of any room you go into. Because you walk into the room, cooler heads should prevail. If there's a heated situation, you should be able to guide it, help it. You should be the words and the leader of Jesus that you became when you became a Christian.
Yeah, I'm getting more and more involved in things here at the church. Something I wanted to do from the day I arrived, and it's been a bit of a struggle to try to figure out how to do it. I think they're going to Ron Evans and Sherry Hobbs and some of the others that are leading the missions group church are they say they're going to publish a book or a pamphlet or something that shows new members how to get involved in our missions. I told him, I said I could have used that about 3 years ago because it wasn't straightforward to me, but I enjoy being a part of that. Regardless of what we do. Glenda, she does most of the work for the Austin Street thing, but I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and you see a lot of people who are in big need
Yes.
of all kinds of things. It's not just food; it's everything.
Yes.
So, but things like that. I need to get more involved in the Church Under the Trees, and in fact, I was going to mention. I'm going to wait for Ron to send out he's going to send out a letter to all the Sunday school leaders. So I guess James will get it for us. But
Next 6 months, can you do something this week? The effective leader, the effective executive, wherever you are, you may think, well, I'm retired, I don't have any big deal where I can be a leader. Yes, you can. You have a neighbor, maybe a family, maybe there's someone that you've spoken to that you've never pursued, you never asked them for coffee. We have a coffee ministry where Ken and I have had coffee lots. About once or twice a week, we have coffee with someone. And it's truly amazing. It's truly amazing if you just give a little bit of yourself and consider a little bit of you as a leader, what that'll do for you, how it will change your life. And also amazing is how Jesus will then give you resources. The Holy Spirit will come alongside you. And when he said, follow me and I'll make you fishers of men, it's true. He will change your life and it will enable you to reach so many other people. Okay, I'm going to stop at that point, and you've got about 5 minutes to ask me anything you want to, or tell me anything you want to. So, what would you like to say, Ken? I could just see your thoughts. I could hear the wheels turning. Get from this material I present today. I hope that you got a challenge that says I can be that follower of men that Jesus wants me to be. I can be a leader in my circle, whatever that is. Or maybe he wants you to step up and to take more leadership. Maybe there's something else that he has in mind for you that you haven't thought about. I've often wondered at Jesus' 29th birthday before he started his ministry, did he have an inkling my life's about to change? Did he have an inkling I'm about to step up and be a leader? Did he have a little twinkle in the back of his head that said, get ready, tie it down, we're fixing to hit the road? I think about life in general and life as an effective leader. And by the way, there's a book by Peter Drucker called The Effective Executive, and I stole a lot of stuff from him. But what was amazing in reading that business book, how much of it applied to Jesus? And that's where these notes came from. The effective executive in this world was the most effective was Jesus. What he did in a short 3-year period has affected the world even through today. Think about that for a second. What can you do in the next 3 years? Can you do something in the next 3 years that will affect the world for years and years and years to come? Death, and even death itself. He never strayed off course. If we think about our life and our distractions, they're pretty minor, and it's almost petty sometimes what we allow to distract us. Sometimes it's almost like we're looking for something to distract us. It's not that we're committed to our purpose. Sometimes we wonder, well, what is my purpose? And maybe that's an issue that we, as a leader, need to spend some time straightening our life out. What is important in our life? What is important for us to know and to commit ourselves to? One of the things that I believe is that we scatter and waste our resources. What are our resources? Number one, our time. How much of our time do we waste? Number two is our brain power. In one of the lectures that I give, I show you how powerful your brain is. It's comparable to the fastest computer in the world. What other resources do we have? We have ingenuity, we have creativity, we have influence, we have friends, we have associates that are out on the periphery. We have an enormous creativity inside of us that's very seldom do we ever use it. They say that we use 10% of our brain power. 90% of it is laid waste. At the very beginning, I said where you'll be in 5 years will be determined by the books you read and the people you associate with. I'm not kidding you. She leaned over immediately and took Donald's hand and took my hand. And she said, please pray for me, I'm pregnant. My boyfriend doesn't want the baby. That's heavy. Now, in your life, today, tomorrow, tonight, tomorrow night, tomorrow morning, God will present someone to you. That might not be what you're expecting. It might not be the person you're expecting. It might not. In other words, you've got to accept what you've got, not what you expect. Now, in conclusion, it says, I've got some more here I want to share with you. Never stray off course. When we think about the course of our life and how easy it is to be distracted, how easy it is to, get our stuff scattered out. Even in dire straits, Jesus went to the wilderness for 40 days. He was hungry, he was weak, he was dehydrated, he was possibly lonely. But yet, the devil tempted him. Tempted him first with food, and then with safety, and finally with power. Jesus never strayed off course. Even when he was disappointed, even when he had been accused falsely, was when we want it. And it's like the old saying, I won't pray for patience, but God give it to me right now. I need it quick, Accept what you got and not what you expected. If you think about what are you expecting in your life, are we expecting to serve? Are we expecting to use the resources we already have? Are we expecting to deal with the people in our life? One of the things Donna and I do, in our prayer time in the morning, we ask God, who are you going to present in our life today? And then will you make us alert? So when you present that person, we're alert enough to say, hey, this may be the person, we need to talk to this person. And I may have shared with you, we were having lunch at Papa Do's. And we talked about it, and the girl that was waiting on us just had a sad, kind of heavy expression. And at a point, she had brought our salad or something, and I said, we are people that believe in prayer. Is there anything that we need to pray for you? Judas was going to betray him, and yet he washed his feet. Can you imagine how Judas felt? He had already made a deal, and here was this man washing his feet. Can you imagine how Jesus felt when he looked up into the eyes of Judas? This is the man that's going to turn me over to be killed. We must learn to forgive. Forgiveness is not cheap. It does not come easy. And it is the strongest antibiotic that you can have. It will cleanse you of the toxicity. It will cleanse you of the negativity. We must learn to forgive. The next is accept what you have and not what you expected. Sometimes people expect too much. Sometimes we expect too much. Sometimes as we look around our life and we think, if I pray to God, He'll give me that. If God loves me, He'll give me that. We think of God as the celestial butler. He's on call to meet our needs. And yet that's not what He says. He said, if you follow me, I'll make you fishers of men. He didn't say I'll give you an easy life. He didn't say I'll give you good health. He didn't even say I'll give you a lot of money. He said, I will make you fishers of men. In the process of it, accept what you got and not what you expected. Because what we expect is the human side of us that makes life easier, takes away all the obstacles. I'm out of love. I'm out of power. And I need to borrow. I think you have that power. A leader has to recognize what they have and what they don't have. It's hard to acknowledge that. It's hard to acknowledge that I'm out of this resource or I'm out of this other. Okay, what else? We must learn to forgive. We don't talk about it very much, but forgiveness is an awesome strength, and lack of forgiveness is an awesome detriment. When you can't forgive, that says you're holding on to some negative, you're holding on to something toxic, you're holding on to a poison that will eat at you. It will hurt you more than it will hurt the other person. What did Jesus do? Think about this for a second. At the Last Supper, He washed the feet of the disciples. Now let's go down the list of disciples for a second. Whoop, there's Judas. He asked the disciples to take a boat across the lake to get away from the crowd. Due to the fact he was very tired, he lay down in the boat, immediately went to sleep. See, he took a nap. Even though a storm rose, he still slept. All right? He was human. That was the human side of our Lord. Next, you must improvise. You must have an alternate plan. Jesus demonstrated that faith can be shared. He was called to the home of Lazarus, who had been dead for 4 days, but due to the fact of the faith of the sisters, Lazarus was healed. The paralyzed man was lowered through the roof, and Jesus said, due to the faith of your 4 friends, you're healed. And there was another one that I didn't write down, and that was the centurion who asked Jesus to come to his home and heal his servant. And the passage said, due to the faith of the centurion. Now, I bring that out to prove 2 points to you. There's another lecture that I give on when you're out of resources. It is possible to borrow. It's possible to borrow resources. It is possible to get to that point. In that lecture that I give you, we do an inventory and we determine the issue that we're out of, and then we go and find a person that has that issue, has that resource, and we borrow. Now, hard work is to say, I need help. Hard work is to say, I am out of faith. We have to be immune to criticisms. He was a threat to the religious leaders and the governing body of Herod and the Romans. He was going to get criticized. If you do anything of significance, you're going to get criticized, even if you do it right. One of the fun things I like, it's not really fun. You know what it is? It is, there's no divine law of fair play, and there will be no good deed that'll go unpunished. Okay, you're going to get criticized. Now, if you believe in your cause and you make sure you're on the important issues, you don't let the criticism deter you. You hear it. It may be something valid, but you don't let it deter you from your cause and from what you're doing. Next, never forget your humanity. You are not invincible. The woman in the crowd touched his garment. He was so sensitive to his human side, he felt the power go out of him. And think about this for a second. Jesus was in a culture that had a lot of hate, okay? They hated the Samaritans, they hated the tax collectors, they hated the Romans. They had a lot of hate. Jesus lived in that culture of bias, but he did not let it affect him. He went into the area of Samaria. And the woman there said, "What are you, a Jew, doing in here and talking to me, a Samaritan?" To be an effective leader, whether it's the mother, whether it's the head of a company, whether it's the PTA, or whether it's a neighbor in the neighborhood, don't let your bias deter you. That's hard to do sometimes. We grow up. I grew up in Louisiana, and believe me, there's a lot of bias there. All right. Communicate. All right. Next one, we'll compartmentalize. Yes, compartmentalize. What that means is when you arrive at work, if it's a mother getting up in the home, or if you're going to your job, or if you're going to a committee meeting at church, you must put aside everything else and focus on the job. You can't be thinking about the kids, you can't be thinking about family, PTA, or anything else. When Jesus was asked the question, they said, "Your mother and your brothers are here," and he said, "Who is my mother, who are my brothers?" He had a mission that was worldwide, and that's called compartmentalize. Focus on the one thing that's most important. Be sure you don't get so busy you forget what's important. Leaders must not let the daily flow of data, when do you keep up with this one? We can get so much information that we get lost in it. We cannot let that daily flow of data, that stuff that keeps coming at us, we can't let it detract us. Jesus was criticized for what the disciples were eating when they ate the grain in the field. If you're looking at every detail, either you're not looking at the big picture or you have lost your goal and orientation. Don't let the daily flow of details distract you. Next, you actually become a captive of the organization. This is true in the home. The CEO of the home, the mother, realizes the kids take her time. Crisis in the community take her time. Leadership at church takes her time. When you're a leader, your time is not your own. And it's so hard to accept that fact because we feel like we're just pulled apart. We've got to go do this, got to go do that, got to do the other. And yet, one of the greatest things about being a leader, one of the most important things about being a leader, is to keep yourself as healthy as you can, keep yourself as rested as you can. I was able to talk one time to a medical person, and I said, if I want to live a long time and do a lot of things, and young man, you're just 88 years old, right? I'll be 89 in July. If I'm going to live a long time, I've got to realize there's some rules to go by, keeping healthy. I said, well, give me 3 simple ones. Don't give me a big list. He said, okay, give blood once a quarter, take a nap every day, take a baby aspirin every day. That's simple. I do those. I make sure I take a nap. But doing effective things. That's leadership. To be a leader, you must be persistent and determined. The greatest wisdom that's not applied to action is meaningless. That behavior is meaningless. Decisions made at every level have significant impact. Jesus instructed the disciples to do what he was doing when he said, go into all the world and make disciples. Can you imagine the look on their face? And they looked at him, what, us? You know, well, we've been going with you, you've been doing it. And we're impressed with you. If we had notepads, we've been taking notes. But now all of a sudden, we're supposed to go do it. This is kind of strange sometimes when you think about it. But Jesus, as the effective leader, did that. He taught them how to do what he was doing. One of the qualities that I don't have on here as a list is if you have strength, you don't hold on to the strength. You pass that strength on. The leader that tries to hold on to all the power, all the leadership, all the strength, all the titles, is not really an effective leader. And there's another point I want to make on that one in just a moment. You must realize that your life is not your own. The world pulls at you. Number 8, recognize that intelligence, knowledge, imagination, and charisma are wonderful qualities, but only effectiveness produces results. I like this phrase, what you are speaks so loud I cannot hear what you're saying. I'm going to say it again. What you are speaks so loud I cannot hear what you're saying. Now think about people that you hear talk a good show, but they don't live it. And think about people that are quiet, but are so effective. That lady back there does so much, and she's so quiet. I'm awed at you.
Absolutely.
And she's doing it for years and years and years. How long have I been knowing you, by the way? No.
A long time.
20-something years, or maybe 30 years, maybe.
Probably 35.
When Patty, when your husband called me and asked me to talk to Patty, wasn't that in 92, 95, somewhere in there? She's been doing this for years and years and years. Next, keep your perspective. You're not too big to do the small things. You're not too small to do the big things. Keep your perspective. Sometimes it's important to know what is important and know what is not important. Use what you have. You cannot always choose from the best talent. For instance, I've heard this phrase and I like it. I would rather have the attention of a number 2 man than have the first class attention. I'm sorry, to have the second class attention of a number 1 man. Let me rephrase it, I screwed it up. I would rather have the first class attention of a number 2 man than to have the second class attention of a number 1 man. Okay, in terms of using what you've got, Jesus chose people that were not usually the one choices that you would make. He chose fishermen. They were not academic people. It was until Paul came along that an academic was in the circle. Use what you have. I would think through the options, think through the alternatives, determine which is best, and decide which one to present. Now, I had already thought about what are the negatives. I knew every one of the negatives. I present them, and guess what? I get all the negatives thrown back at me. I have to still do the thing that I don't necessarily want to do because it's the right thing to do. Jesus had to do something he did not want to do. Okay? Delegate. Do the things that only you can do. Delegate the rest. If he directed the fishermen to cast their nets at a certain place, they didn't necessarily want to do it because they said they've already been out there all night and it wasn't going to work. But when he delegated it, they did what he said, and they cast their net and they filled the nets. Next, eliminate the obsolete. There was no further need for animal sacrifices. Of the 619 instructions that the Jewish people had to fulfill at that time, he basically said, there are some of these that are really, really important, but there's some of them that we don't have to. For instance, he ate on Sunday. He picked corn or wheat on a Sunday. He healed people on Sunday with the higher power. How often does it say that Jesus prayed? How often said he pulled aside and prayed? Okay, if you are a corporate executive and you're CEO of a company and you don't stay in touch with your board of directors, you're in trouble. You may not know it yet, but you are. If you're the CEO of a household and you're not in touch with your household and your kids as well as your spouses and your parents and grandparents, you're in trouble. Stay in touch with the higher power. Communicate with those that you need to communicate with. Number 3, we have to obey and execute orders even when we don't want to. Tom Landry had a phrase. He said the definition of a leader is they do things they do not want to do. Jesus prayed at the end of his life, let this cup pass from me. I thought in growing up and becoming a young man, becoming a leader, I thought I want to be head of the company because I'll be able to do what I want to do. Guess what? It doesn't work that way. You become head of the company, but you get to do things you don't necessarily want to do because they got to be done. But there must be a weightiness in our presence and in our communications. When we talk to someone, we should influence those people. We shouldn't be just a knot on the wall. We shouldn't just be passing time waiting for the grass to grow. In the craving to be perceived as cool, many people, even some pastors, lose their effectiveness. It's important that we understand what leadership is. And this is the details that I want to go through with you on this list here. Okay, do a few things and do them well. When Jesus came to the earth, he grew into his ministry, and he then had to choose what he would do. Do we think he probably knew he had 3 years? Probably so. In 3 years, what does he accomplish? In 3 years, what can you accomplish? 3 years ago, what have you accomplished in the last 3 years? So think about it from the standpoint, your influence is not to be taken lightly. Your influence is to do a few things and do them well. He said, I'm here for my Father's business. That Jesus had and he demonstrated. I want to go through them carefully with you, but in the process of it, I want to tell you a couple of things that you may or may not have even thought about. I said when he says, I will make you fishers of men if you follow me, he's saying basically, I'm going to teach you how to be a leader. He's saying that to his disciples, but he's also saying it to you and to me. One of the best statements I've ever heard is when a leader goes into the room, he changes the temperature of the room. Think about that for a second. If a leader goes into the room, he changes the temperature of that room. You have the same obligation and the same opportunity as a Christian. You can be a fisher of men and change the temperature of any room you go into. Because you walk into the room, cooler heads should prevail. If there's a heated situation, you should be able to guide it, help it. You should be the words and the leader of Jesus that you became when you became a Christian. Johor, Malaysia, had breakfast with him. Howard Butt, chairman of HEB, have had coffee with him. Bob Pierce founded World Vision. Barbara Bush, you know her, of course. Henry Kissinger was at a function. I was able to talk to him. Specifically, I asked him, how did the country of Indonesia overthrow communism, and it didn't cost us a single bullet or a single military guy? And he explained it in great detail. I won't take the time now. Daddy King is the father of Martin Luther King Jr. When I was with Cecil Day, I was president of the Day Foundation. Daddy King wanted to start something for kids in the ghetto, specifically for girls who were pregnant. Thirdly, he wanted to start something for teenage kids. So we arranged the basement of a building and some steel drums and got him some money to get the drummers and so forth and so forth. But that was part of what we did with him. Trammell Crow, you all know. Cecil Day and I had lunch with him, and we were able to talk about how he structured his leadership group. And then Texas governors, Governor Abbott and Doc Briscoe. Doc Briscoe's wife was head, while he was governor, she was head of the unit that had to do with senior citizens. The group I just mentioned at Days End was called September Days Club, and we dealt with senior citizens, so we gave teaching there. He is in a Muslim country, Indonesia. He is in the capital city, Jakarta. He convinced, and that's where the University of Indonesia is, he convinced them that one of the pillars of their constitution has a provision that allows you to teach Christianity. That's something. He then taught a course on Christianity in the Muslim University in Jakarta. That's leadership. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, here's the list of people that I'm going to be showing you as we go through. You saw Jimmy Carter, Paul Harvey, John Haggai. I was in the room with President Ronald Reagan. Cecil Day was the owner of the Days Ends Motel. He was the one in the picture with Paul Harvey and me. Martin Linkletter, we used him for some banquets. Haile Selassie is the president of Singapore. I'm blocking your name over here, I'm sorry. Haile Selassie is the president of Indonesia, I'm sorry. And Dr. Sears is the president of Singapore. Group of leaders, they're from 12 countries, there are 25 people, and we were together for 5 weeks. I taught leadership training. They are instructed to be trained, go back to their country, and train their leaders. Now the advantages, number one, they're the same color. Number two, they understand the culture, they're part of it. Number three, they're part of the leadership structure in that town, the power structure. Number four, they are self-sufficient. Since that time, Haggai Institute has trained 148,000 leaders, sent them back to their country. Can you imagine what a mission board would cost, funding 148,000 missionaries? Doesn't cost us anything. They are self-supporting. They're doctors, they're lawyers, teachers, 25% are preachers, but they train their own people and send them back out. And then they go home and they continue to train. One particular guy, Dr. Suchano in Jakarta, Indonesia, has started 25 churches since he was trained. The Haggai Institute training leaders. I used Paul Harvey. I was with the Days Inn system, and we had a club called the September Days Club, and it was for senior citizens. And we would have annual large meetings, different places, and we would use Paul Harvey. It was one of the banquets when I brought him in, took him to his room, and then he would take a shower and dress and then come down. And he said, Jim, when I finish, immediately come to where I am. I'm gonna put my hand on your shoulder and walk me out. Take me directly to the car. Don't stop. Let anybody talk to me. Don't let me stop for any reason. Get me to the car. I did. When I sat him down in the car, he started shaking. I mean, he was shaking. He was so sick, he could barely get out of the car and get into the airplane. But you didn't tell it when he was speaking. You couldn't tell it he was sick at all. He was awesome. He was awesome. Now, let's go through this. I'm going to show you some more people. The next one, in the Bible, Matthew 4:19, it has a phrase. Jesus said, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. I want to make a deal with you. When you accept Christ, you might not realize that you made a deal with God. You became this person, fisher of men. So when you talk about leadership, you become fishers of men. And the material I'm going to present to you today, you think, well, an executive. You think about, well, a corporate executive, the CEO of a large company or something like that. But it's not that. When you become fisher of men, you can be a mother who is CEO of the household. You become a PTA member, leading the group there. You become a member of the family. So if you want to know where you're going to be in 5 years, there's two things you can do. One, it's the books that you read, and two, it's the people you associate with. And I'm going to show you some things about people this morning. Thank you. Some Christian churches here, and actually married the pastor's daughter in one of the churches. But he was convinced that the world needed Bibles, so he sold Bibles for a living. He was very successful at selling Bibles. Actually, he then started a company called Royal Publishers. You may have had a Bible from manufactured and published by the Royal Publishers at one time. And it was a successful company. It grew, it sold a lot of Bibles. And then Sam is a genius at negotiating. He heard about this company, Nelson Publishers, and he took his little company, leveraged it, and bought the bigger company, Nelson Publishers. That's the ones that published that Bible. I knew Sam in the 60s and the 70s. He became owner and president of the Nelson Publishing Company, and they were very, very, very successful. I'm sharing that with you to tell you that leadership is a factor. Leadership makes a difference. And when we get to a topic like this, I wanted to show you this picture. Now, if you look around that room, somebody you might recognize with his hand in the air. 2 people over is a scowling Jimframe. I'll tell you the political story later.
Wait, which one are
To the
you?
left. 2 people to the left.
Right there. This is Jimmy Carter.
Oh, you changed.
That's me. Well, surprise and guest. We're going to talk about Jesus as the effective executive, and I'm going to tell you some stuff that you might not have already known. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Good. Good. First off, I'm going to pass around my Bible, And I want you to open it to the fly leaf. It looks like this, so when you see it, look at it. I'm gonna start over here with Carol and just let it go around the room. As it's going around the room, I want to explain something to you. It has my name in it, it has a number, and then it has the name Sam Moore. The lecture today is going to be about leadership. Sam Moore came to America as a young boy from the Middle East. His name was Sam Ziadi. He was a Christian, and we will surprise and guess. We're going to talk about Jesus as the effective executive, and I'm going to tell you some stuff that you might not have already known. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Good. First off, I'm going to pass around my Bible, and I want you to open it to the fly leaf. It looks like this, so when you see it, look at it. I'm going to start over here with Carol and just let it go around the room. As it's going around the room, I want to explain something to you. It has my name in it, it has a number, and then it has the name Sam Moore. The lecture today is going to be about leadership. Sam Moore came to America as a young boy from the Middle East. His name was Sam Ziadi. He was a Christian,